What's good, you guys? It's your boy the Kryptonian saying here, bringing you a review for One Piece chapter 211. And gotta say, I feel like the payoff for this is very well earned. In particular, I like how all of the Navy officers are rounding up the different members of Baroque Works, and I like how Tashigi walks up to unconscious Crocodile and says, "The world government strips you of your rank forever." So Luffy, like, Tashigi knows that Luffy is the one who stopped Crocodile. So the fact that Luffy is the one who brought him down, even though I feel like he's been nerfed, I feel like Crocodile should have been able to do more during his fight. But for what it's worth, though, very good payoff in the fact that Luffy's the one who brought him down. Very well earned, and it's going to continue to build its legacy. So just to see Crocodile stripped, even though Sanji said, "Hey, we're pirates, don't get us mixed up in politics," and I really feel like it's noticeable that Sanji says that more than anything else, simply for the fact that Sanji, that's something I could see Zoro saying. Zoro, I don't know if it's because he was exhausted, but Sanji just jumps in right away and it's like, don't bring any attention to us. And it doesn't make sense to me why Sanji would be the one to speak up. And it might just be a nitpicking thing, but it just seems like to me, Sanji, his face on the wanted poster, Sanji comes off like a ladies' man. And I don't know if he's thinking like, oh, if people see my poster, then, or if they know that I helped save a kingdom and all this other stuff. It doesn't make sense, because as I'm thinking about this just right off top, I started to leave this out the review, and then as I'm thinking about it right off top, it really seems like Sanji has a lot to gain from this. Because not only are you a wanted pirate, so you're a bad boy, but then on the other side, you help save a kingdom. So now it looks like, oh, he's a bad boy, but he's got a soft heart. Women would eat that up. So I don't know why Sanji says that, but again, he's the only one who speaks up. Nami says, "Hey, we're tired, we're just going to go on to the palace." But I don't know. I don't know. Like, my writer's brain is going off at this point. Because again, just looking at which characters speak up and say certain things, you pay attention to stuff like that. So, with all that being said, let's just kind of move backwards a little bit. The whole thing with this chapter is all the familiar faces are coming in. Ingram shows up with the little boy who got his ass whooped by Mr. 3 because Mr. 3 was impersonating Cobra, the king, and in order to shut him up, he had to do the little boy in. And so the little boy is speaking up. The rebels, before that, they're saying, just because it's raining, do you really think that we're going to wash away our anger? I'm paraphrasing at this point. You have the Royal Guard people saying, hey, we can't back down. Like, even though the raining briefly stopped everyone from being at each other's throats, it's starting to rise up again. And I don't know if that's symbolic with maybe Crocodile starting to regain consciousness, because I could see why Tashigi would be speaking to him if he's conscious. If he's unconscious, doesn't make sense. So, like I said, just different parallel things. Like I said, it might be my brain going into overdrive because I'm in a writing mood right now. But it just seems like this is something Oda is doing symbolism-wise, and as well as setting things up for later on. But I thought it was interesting that as Ingram shows up with the little boy, all the tension comes down because they recognize him. And I believe that happened right after Koza said, no, we have been tricked. I'll try to explain. I don't know if it's before or after, but just the timing of that, because they're so close together. Oda is pulling a lot of stuff that happened earlier on in the arc, and he's bringing it in. It's something that in the writing community, we call it funneling. So I just like seeing these different craft techniques coming into place, because I don't mean to kind of shit on a lot of shonens, but a lot of shonens don't really practice a lot of the writing things. A lot of times the authors will write themselves into a corner, and then they'll just break down the corner altogether. Whereas Oda and Togashi, one of the things they do when they're in a corner, they look to see where in the universe, and even Kubo to a certain extent with some of the recent Bleach chapters, but they look to see where in the universe there's a little gray area for them to kind of follow the rules within the universe and make things right. And I just like how Oda is holding himself to the rules in the universe, holding himself to things that prior happened, things that were foreshadowed and then bring it in while also building up foreshadowing for other things, because I could definitely see Crocodile's being stripped from the title of being a seven warlord of the sea. I can see how that had ramifications and how it can build things up going forward. So very interesting at this end. Another thing I thought was really cool was the fact that Vivi, what she's doing, she is trying to give the Straw Hats recognition. And again, Sanji says, pump your brakes, girlfriend. That can't be us. We can't do it. But Vivi still feeling a little bit of endearment towards the Straw Hats. And it just shows that even after they move on, because again, I don't feel like she's going to be in a crew, but even after they move on, it just seems like they're always going to have an ally in Vivi. So that's really cool, because it just shows you that no matter who you run into in life, if you keep them around, or even if it's just that one moment, you never know when that friendship, that alliance, that whatever it is, you never know when it's going to come in handy. So that's pretty cool. That kingdom's always going to be indebted to them. So that being said, I want to just go into the fact that Vivi's father, his speech, not just to the kingdom, but the one that he gave these Straw Hats, that was very moving. And I would be very interested to know if Oda had anything in particular to say about that scene, or Cobra as a character. And a big part of the reason why I wanted to know if that was the case is this right here. What Cobra is saying is, I was prepared to die. And because I've gone through some different things, I understand, like, when you get to that point where you just don't want to fight anymore, where it seems like everything is against you, it's really hard to hold on to hope. It's really hard to believe that things are going to work themselves out, to have faith, okay? It's really difficult. And a lot of times you can lose yourself. And it really seems like to me, and this is me thinking a little overdrive here, but it really seems like to me that was Luffy's purpose. It wasn't, oh, he's got to go 3 rounds against Crocodile and get him out. You know, we can't have 2 rounds because that's not a literary number 3. I think it was more Luffy needed to be there to find his strength and to find a way in front of King Cobra, in order to get Cobra on the right track, in order to be that guiding light. Like how Luffy is seeking out members of his crew. It seems like every time Luffy makes a pit stop somewhere, even though he's not a navigator per se on the seas, he's a navigator of people. And it seems like Luffy is able to get people on the right track. And if you just look at the different members of his crew, at one point all of them are kind of going in different directions. And Luffy gives off this presence that you want to follow. Even if, you know, your leg is broken and you can't move, you crawl. Or if you're Usopp, like how Usopp is in this chapter, Zoro drags you around. But it's just something about Luffy. And that's really cool, man. That's really cool to see that. And I'm wondering if that's why Oda chose rubber to be his gum power. Because, you know, rubber is durable. No matter how you stretch it and everything, rubber eventually goes back to how it is. You know, it's a very tough substance. That's pretty cool. Overall, very good chapter. You know, as far as the cover stories, I haven't touched on a lot of the cover stories so far in this arc, because this arc is filled with so much awesome stuff. But you have Hachi, which is really good. You have Hachi, he's carrying this big booty of treasure. And Hachi, you know, he's doing this thing down on the ocean floor, but it's really cool to see how Hachi is trying to prosper the guy who Zoro fought during the Arlong Park arc. And then you have Crocodile falling from grace. So this is really cool. Very good chapter. My chapter question for you guys is, was there ever a time in your life where you weren't able to see the right path to walk on, or see the right choice? Were you ever lost? Were you ever afraid? Were you ever lonely? This is a little deep, you know. I'll put a video. You should see the annotation or the card on the screen right now, probably in that corner up there or up here, however YouTube puts it on the thing, because I don't know how it's gonna flip. But you should see that on the screen now. That's my story. So that's it for this review, guys. If you like anything I had to say, hit that like button, comment, rate, subscribe, and share. I'll greatly appreciate it, guys. That's it. Thanks for watching Kryptonian Saying. Have an awesome day.